Hi everyone, I'm Ashley Miller, the Director of Career Services at Lindsey Wilson College on our main campus in Columbia, Kentucky. Our second series in the Career Services on Demand presentations is when you land the job interview, now what should you do? We'll go through some tips on what to wear, what not to wear, and some mannerisms to avoid. Before you go into a job interview, the very first thing that you need to know is the salary for that type of position. If your salary needs are not what the job pays for, then it's really not in your best interest to go forward with the interview. To find out the salaries for different jobs in different areas, I've given you a couple of links to websites. There's also a link, if you notice, to kentucky.gov. Now that goes to a new link that Governor Beshear has put in place. It's called Open Door. Any position that is a state-funded position, so that's also within state-funded universities, University of Louisville, University of Kentucky, Murray State. All of those universities are listed in this website too, so you can kind of gauge the salaries for the different positions that you're wanting. Now also notice that judging by your geographic location, it's really going to change what the salary is for that particular position. For example, a paralegal that is working in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, for instance, is going to have a much higher starting salary than a paralegal in Columbia, Kentucky. Now why is that? It's because the cost of living in Philadelphia is much higher than it is in Columbia. So when you factor in all of those things, then they're actually getting paid basically the same amount of money. It just looks different on paper initially. When you go to a job interview, there are 5 things that you need to bring with you. You need to bring copies of your resume. I know you may have already emailed or submitted your resume in another format, but just make sure that you have extra copies with you on hand. If they have told you that there will be a panel interview, bring multiple copies. If not, just be prepared in case with multiple copies. Also, if you have any letters of reference, bring those with you in multiple copies. If you're interviewing in an industry where you're going to need some examples of work, so a portfolio. For instance, if you're applying for a teaching position, you might want to bring with you some lesson plans, some samples of student work, some things that you've graded or implemented in your classroom. That would be a wonderful thing to bring with you. Also, my 2 little Disney things you need to bring: your passion for the job and a smile. Aww. Now, why do I say those 2 things? Okay. The difference between you and a candidate just like you is going to be your passion for the job. How bad do you want the job? Now, I don't mean that you're going to crawl on your knees and beg and throw a temper tantrum, I need this job, I need this job. But what I do mean is that you're going to have a nice, bubbly personality that is going to be pleasing. You're going to be polite to everyone that you come in contact with at that company. And smiling is absolutely critical. Now, I don't want you to have the overly peppy cheerleader kind of a smile, but I do want you to have a nice, happy kind of grin on your face when you go into this job interview. That will show not only that you are excited about the possibility of working for the company, but you also have confidence in yourself, and that's key when you go into an interview. Dressing for success. Okay, we've got 2 examples here. Miss L. Woods. Now let's see what Miss L. Woods did correctly when she dressed for her interview. Let's see, her suit is tailored, it fits her well. The length of the skirt is appropriate. Let's see, her hair is nice and mild. It's done well, it's combed through. She has on subtle makeup and not a lot of jewelry. But what has Miss L done wrong? Well, let's start out with the color of her outfit. That pink is really, really bright. So we want to avoid colors that are going to be distracting the employer from what we're saying. Also, ladies, open-toed shoes are not permissible for job interviews. and neither are bare legs. So if you do have a skirt or a dress, you must wear pantyhose for your interview. Now let's go the other extreme. What about Miss Snooky? Let's give her some credit first. What has she done right? Well, the color of her dress is perfect for an interview. It's a neutral color. It's not distracting. Her hair, if you notice how she usually does her hair with the big poof to it, it doesn't have that. It's nice and well done, combed through, but her makeup is far too heavy for a job interview. The length of the skirt, hopefully that's self-explanatory that that's not appropriate for a job interview. Her platform shoes. Now, if they were closed-toed shoes, the platform, which is kind of the new style, is not appropriate for a job interview. So buy that one pair of nice flat pumps that are ultra boring and can work for that job interview situation. And also, if you notice her nail color, she has on bright yellow nail polish. For job interviews, we want to stay away from colored nail polish. But if you also notice, Miss Snooky doesn't have on a lot of jewelry. That's wonderful for a job interview. You want to keep it as subtle as possible. Alright, so what about for the guys? We want the guys and the girls to wear conservative clothing, meaning conservative colors, grays, dark blues, browns, anything that is in that neutral palette is great for an interview. Also, if you're thinking about the color shirt to go underneath a suit, guys, any pastel color, a light yellow, light blue, or if you want to just stick to a white or a blue shirt, that's perfectly fine. But remember that your tie also needs to be in that conservative realm. Now, guys and girls, don't go too overboard on the perfume. A lot of people are really sensitive to smells, so if you normally do 2 squirts with the perfume, then only do 1 on the day of your interview. So it won't make you feel self-conscious, but it also won't bother the interviewer. We talked about conservative jewelry. The industry standard for business attire jewelry is generally a watch, a bracelet, 1 ring on either hand of a small stature. You can wear a necklace, but just make sure that it's also of a small stature, and earrings, ladies, in the lowest hole in your ear. So if you have some other piercings, then take them out. Guys, go ahead and take out piercings altogether. Unless you are interviewing in an industry or in a company that specifically allows jewelry, then just go ahead and err on the side of caution and take it all out. Ladies, that also means any nose or facial piercings. And again, no bright nail polish. The first thing you want to do when you walk into that interview is introduce yourself politely and shake hands. Not only with the person interviewing you, but if it's a panel interview, shake hands and introduce yourself to each and every person on the panel. You're going to feel kind of silly because obviously they heard you say, "My name is Ashley Miller, great to meet you," but you weren't addressing them. So it's really proper to go through each person and introduce yourself. Also, a little trick, introduce yourself to the secretary when you first walk in. Now that secretary has a lot more pull than you think that she does. She's that very first one that sees you when you walk into the company. So be just as polite and business professional to her or him as you would to any other person that's interviewing you at the company. A key when you are going through an interview is to look at the interviewer when they talk. Now, if you're a person that has a problem with eye contact, it makes you nervous or uncomfortable with people you don't know, a little trick is to look them right between the eyes, right in the bridge of their nose. That to them makes them look like, oh, you're looking me in the eye, you're giving me great eye contact, but to you, you're looking at their nose. So it kind of helps you get over that hurdle if that's one of your little nervous habits. Also, if you're a pen popper or a finger popper, a great way to kind of combat that if you tap your pen or something is to bring a pen with you into the interview that does not have the clicker capability, or take the top completely off of it and leave it in the car to where you only have the pen base. That'll help you avoid that nervous habit. If you're a finger popper, I'm a finger popper. So right before I go into an interview, I will give all my knuckles a quick crack in the car. It's done, it's out of my system, and I can move on. Also, if you're a person that touches your hair a lot, ladies, make sure that you put your hair out of your face so it isn't an issue of you needing to brush your hair out of your eyes or something during your interview. And also, it's okay to pause before answering a question. So if they ask you a difficult one and you need a moment to think, just going, well, actually, I was thinking about that on the way here, and I believe, and just that small little pause, to you, it might seem like an eternity, but to that employer, it wasn't a pause at all, but it gave you time to gather your thoughts and think. If you need to restate the question, do that as well, or you can always ask them to, what do you mean by that question? Do you mean this or do you mean that? And ask them to kind of clarify. That is perfectly okay in an interview. The most important nonverbal do's during an interview are smiling and eye contact. Now, with the smiling, you notice that we have the gentleman staring into the mirror. You're going to feel a little bit silly, but at home, when you're by yourself, so no one else is around, practice smiling in the mirror. Now, this is a America's Next Top Model trick. Thank you, Miss Tyra Banks. But you can feel the different muscles in your face and how they move when you smile. So when you're practicing in the mirror, practice that super creepy, over-exuberant smile, and then practice just kind of having a little smirk while you talk. The difference between the two is going to make you feel more comfortable during an interview that you're doing the right one. Initially, we talked about having your passion for the job and a smile. This is where that comes into play. We want you to be passionate about the job, and passion is shown through facial expressions. So if you know exactly what it feels like to do different facial expressions because you've seen it in the mirror, you'll be more comfortable when you're interviewing. Also, the eye contact again. If it's not one of your big strong suits, look right there at the bridge of their nose and they will never know the difference. A lot of students ask me, what are they going to ask me when I go into a job interview? Well, here are some questions that almost come up at every interview. The very first one is that, so tell me about yourself. Now, this question can go a million different directions, but why do employers ask it? Well, a lot of times when they're interviewing, that's not the only thing that they've done that day. They've also had a work day, they've gotten into other tasks, and honestly, they need a minute to gather their thoughts too. So they might ask you, so tell me about yourself, as kind of a little break the ice time filler for themselves so they can get their questions together. Here you want to give them a slight personal anecdote. I might tell them that I have a precious Labrador Retriever that I love to take on long walks after work, but I'm not going to say, well, and yesterday my lab, she ran around the yard and there was this bird and she couldn't quite get it. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of taking that personal story and expanding on it a little bit too personal. So tell them a personal anecdote and then move on to your education, your background, your experience, something nice and to sum up that package. Now, some employers may also ask, why should I hire you, or your strengths or weaknesses. When you go to your strengths or weaknesses, now a lot of employers won't ask you about your strengths because you've talked about them the whole interview. You're basically selling your strengths the whole time. But a weakness can always be made into a positive. So for instance, I usually say that my weakness is that I'm a perfectionist. And even if it means working extra hours, I'm willing to go the extra step to make sure the job's done properly. So what did I just say? I said, I'm a perfectionist, but I'm willing to work extra hours. I'm making sure it's done properly. So I spun that into a positive. Now, what if you say, well, I'm a little uncomfortable in initial interactions with people I don't know, but I quickly warm up. That but just spun that negative right back into a positive. So before you go into an interview, kind of think to yourself what your weakness is and how you can spin that into a positive thing. Also, where you would like to be in 3 to 5 years. To say that you want to continue on your education, that's a wonderful thing. So don't be afraid to tell a potential employer that you want to continue on in your education. That shows growth, and it also shows a degree of a higher learning and that kind of drive to keep on going. And the most important question, I cannot stress it enough, when they say, do you have any questions for me? Ask them something. Have 1 or 2 questions prepared for them, so when they say, do you have any questions for me, you can say, actually, I noticed that your stock prices rose recently. Have you done something different with your marketing strategy? Whoa! Suddenly, that took that employer 1 step further with you. Suddenly they said, wow, they've researched the company, they know something about it, and it also gives the employer time to talk about themselves, talk about their company, talk about strategies. It's a wonderful way to wrap up that interview, and it makes the difference between you and one other candidate exactly like you. Leaving a good impression is absolutely critical when you're in an interview. So when you've had a great time and you've answered all the questions, you're feeling great about it, and then you get up and say, thank you very much, and you leave. Well, you just bolted out the door, so that changed my entire impression of you. Thank an interviewer for their time, but also shake hands with them. If you have a panel interview, shake hands with each and every person before you leave. Thank them all for their time. They could have absolutely nothing to do with the position that they're hiring you for, which makes their time even more precious. So make sure you thank them. Also, it's not inappropriate to ask them, when they think that they might be making their decision, and how that you will hear from them, whether it be by email or a phone call. Make sure that you also tell that secretary at the beginning of your interview, say goodbye to them, tell them to have a great day. That lasting impression on every person in the company is what you want to all be positive. So make sure that you have continuity between each person that you see. Following up after your interview is important as well. Make notes in your Lindsey Wilson College alumni leather portfolio that you get during senior orientation, and write down those notes. If they ask for more information, make sure you send it immediately. Now, you don't have to sit in the car on your laptop and email it to them right that second, but email it to them within the next 24 hours if they've asked for some more information from you. And the thank you note. Now, this is a point of contention. The thank you note, handwritten, has kind of gone by the wayside. Now, most people have an email address that goes directly to them. Sending a thank you email now is also a perfectly acceptable way to conduct business. So if you are applying within a larger company that has a mail room, that perhaps someone else opens the mail, they distribute it out, your thank you note might get lost in translation. So go ahead and just shoot over that quick little thank you email to the person that interviewed you. After you've been hired for positions, remember it's imperative to take down your online resumes from various job sites. That's Monster.com, Career Builder, Simply Hired. Now, maintaining your network on LinkedIn, that's great. Keep that up. But if it looks like you're out there applying for other jobs, then go ahead and take those down from the websites. For yourself and for the future, please make sure that you actively maintain your virtual and your real networks of people. Let us know here at Lindsey Wilson where you are in your career path, specifically alumni relations and career services. It might be that you are a marketing executive in New York City and we have a student that's really thinking about doing a marketing internship over the summer. Perhaps we'll set them up with a conference call where they can talk to you, talk about their experience, talk about the transition from Lindsey Wilson to their current position. We really want you to be a part of our mentoring network, and we also want you to be connected with one another as the Lindsey Wilson family. So make sure that you actively maintain those networks, not only on your Facebook and your LinkedIn and your Twitter accounts, but also just let us know from time to time if you've changed career paths and where you are now. Also, we want you to start attending job fairs now. Regardless if you're a freshman, junior, senior, alum, start attending job fairs. If you attend fairs now, then what that helps you do is develop those little mini interviewing skills. It helps you become more comfortable breaking the ice with new people, talking about yourself in a brief context, and moving on to the next employer. Those little mini interactions will help you tremendously when you actually are interviewing for a job that you really want. Thank you all very much for attending this presentation. Here's my contact info if you want to send me over a resume or a cover letter to review for you. My email address is careerservices@lindsey.edu, or you can call our office to make an appointment. It's 270-384-8065. Sharice and I would be happy to sit down with you and go over your resume and cover letter, or if you want to kind of ask us questions about a particular industry, what we feel would be best for that industry, or if you are looking for a career transition, then give us a call. We would love to talk to you. If you graduated from Lindsey Wilson College a number of years ago, or you're at one of our satellite locations, you're still part of the Lindsey family. We want you to feel that you can use our office anytime that you need any assistance in your career search or transition. So please use our office. We're more than happy to help you. Thank you again for attending our presentation, and hopefully will join us for our next presentation on our Career Services On Demand series.